Hi and welcome back with another video tutorial. In this video we will be looking at how we can create polygroups and use those on our meshes. So for this, let's just open this demo head female, and we can look at how we can create polygroups. The first thing is that what are polygroups and how we can use this. So the polygroups are the color coded method of representing your mesh. For example, if I press Ctrl W and create this polygroup, you can see that we have different color here. So the polygroups is just a way of isolating and masking and quickly selecting one part of the mesh from other, so that we can just sculpt on it or mask it up and use it for other different purposes as well. So there are multiple ways to create polygroups. For example, if we go through this polygroups tab under our tool menu here, you can see that this tab contains all ways of creating polygroups. So for example, the basic way of creating polygroups, which is just drawing a mask and pressing Ctrl W to just masking it out to creating a polygroup. So there are other ways. For example, if I have selected some portion and if I press Ctrl W, then it will create a mask on it. So if I press Ctrl W, it will create a whole polygroup for this new for the whole face. So the polygroups are very important. So let me give you an example. So if I just control and mask this portion of mouth, I can press Ctrl W. Let's isolate this mask from other places. So I can press Ctrl W to create a polygroup. I can go and select my mask lasso, and I just wanted the jaw here, and let's select this part here. So I can press Ctrl W and I can just merge these here, and now I have this jaw here as a separate subtool. So what I can do, so usually when I'm working, I'm sculpting on a character. So if I sculpt it right now, so you can see that if I sculpt, I am affecting the lower lip as well. If I smooth, I am affecting the lower lip as well, which I don't want right now. So what I can do is I can just quickly select mask this up and use it to move my lips however I want. You can also go to your B, M and select your move topological brush, for example. So move topological, so if this lip is very close to the other lip spatially, but if you look at the topology, this is how much distance it has to travel to reach the lower lip by topology. For example, it will traverse from here and come here to reach this lower lip. So you can just select your move topological brush and move this. But if you want to sculpt this here, this part is very close to the lower lip, then it will affect the lower lip as well. So move topological is super useful, but it is better that you create polygroups. For example, if I just want to sculpt it, I can sculpt it however I want. So masking is super useful, and polygroups are super useful. And you can also, in the last video I showed you how you can export your polygroups into other softwares like Maya and 3ds Max, and you can use those polygroups as a material in those softwares. So polygroups are super useful, and there are many ways to group according to the polygroups. So for example, you can see that we have this auto groups button. So auto groups works on the meshes that are not connected. So for example, if I select this eyes right now, so let's isolate this by clicking on the solo tab here. So right now, if I want single subtool on all these meshes, so if I click on this auto groups, you can see that it will group on the basis of whether these objects are connected to each other or not. So right now the tongue and the teeth have same polygroups because it must be connected and welded to each other from the bottom or from somewhere else. Yeah, so you can see that it is connected from here. Let's just select double click check this double button here, and you will be able to see the both faces. So you can see that. So if you're working on thin surfaces, you won't be able to see the back side of it, so you should check this double button in order to see that. So you can see that auto groups create polygroups on the basis of whether the mesh is connected to other mesh or not. We also have grouping on the basis of UVs. So if I click this button here, maybe this mesh doesn't have UVs right now, so let me just create some UVs for it. Okay. Okay. So now that this has UVs on it, so let's see how many shells do we have. So this will right now polygroup on the basis of the UV shells. For example, if right now there are 3 shells, 1, 2, 3, and if I want this to be grouped on the basis of UVs, I can just click on UVs group and it will group on the basis of UVs. Yeah, auto group with UVs. So now you can see that it has grouped on the basis of UVs. It has grouped this inner circle into a separate polygroups because it was a separate shell in the UVs. You can see this right here. So we can also do a group visible or the group by normals. For example, if I do a group by normals, if the normals are facing the same way, then it won't be grouping. For example, these normals were different than these normals, but I don't use group normals often because sometimes it gives weird results like it's giving here right now. So I don't use a group by normals if I reduce the average. And yeah, now group by normals because every of the faces has a normal difference by at least one, so it will group them by the normal angle. So if I move it to 20, then it will only polygroup this on the if the normal difference is more than 20 degrees. So if I group this on 90, let me show you a very simple example. So if, for example, if I am using this cylinder and I want each of this tile to be a separate polygroup, I can just select here, and I think there would be an angle of 10 or maybe 20 right here. So right now it's the same polygroup. So if I just go down a little bit as well, so you can see that it has given me separate strip of polygroup on this thing here, because there must be an angle of 6 or less than 9 among the polygroups, so it is very important. But if I only wanted this to be a separate polygroups and this cap on the top as a separate polygroup, I will be going at the angle of 90 or 85, and you can see that now we have 2 polygroups or 3 polygroups. We also have one on the bottom as well. So this is very important, super useful for doing polygroups on the basis of the normal angles. So if I just wanted all this portion to be a single polygroup, I can just go above the 90, and now it won't be multiple polygroups. It will only have same polygroup. Less than 90 will be selecting meshes on the faces, or if they have more than an angle of 90. For example, this face and this face are totally facing at a 90 degree from each of these, so I can just under lower I can just select this average to be below 90 and it will create separate polygroup on those faces. So yeah, so it is very important. Yeah, so we can also, you can see that this is we have this group mask here option, which I usually group this by pressing Ctrl W. For example, in the last video I showed you how I just press Ctrl W and it will create a separate polygroup. You can see that here. So that's here, this group mask here. So we also have this group visible. For example, if I have this, some part of the mesh is visible and I click on this group visible, and you can see that we have a separate polygroup here as well for this. And there is also group front. For example, whatever I'm seeing, I want it as a separate polygroup. So if I want to do that, just click on this group front and you will see that whatever I could see in the camera is a separate polygroup, and whatever I couldn't is a separate polygroup as well. So there are some settings, which is the coverage and regroup cluster. So coverage is like the along the edge, how the camera should convert this into polygroups. So this is all I could tell you about the polygroups. You can also do this by regroup by edges. I haven't used this, so I don't know how this work. So it might work on by the same way the other options are working, but I have never used this. So you can look it up in the documentation as well and put it in the comment section as well, so that I may learn as well. So hope you like the videos. See you in the next video.